Good afternoon, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty. Apologies for being a little bit late today. There's been some problems with YouTube. Apparently, you can watch videos absolutely fine, but creating them has been problematic. Finally, after hitting refresh all morning, it finally started working for me. So I finished reading, ready to review Groo meets Tarzan, or, to give it its full, ridiculous title, Sergio Aragonés' Groo meets Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan with Marco Vanier and Thomas Yeats. Yeah. Basically, it's Groo, and it's kind of worth pointing out who Groo is, because I'm fairly sure there might be some people out here who've aware of him but never really know much about him. Groo the Wanderer is a character I started reading when I was a child, back in junior school age, because due to having a slightly odd childhood, I grew up somewhere where there was not really any comic book stores. That was one thing I could get from just the local corner shop. So I read it and I enjoyed it. And it was silly and it was funny, and it was this Groo the Wanderer who was like a Conan-esque kind of character who would run around with swords and murder everyone and cause havoc and mayhem wherever he went. And it was funny and talking in a dog. It was brilliant. And I grew up and realized that what he actually was using the setting to kind of like parody mainstream comic books and even parodying mainstream comic books productions and the likes. And because of that, I think it kind of drifted away. It went from Marvel to Malibu to Image and now Dark Horse, which it's been for a few years. And the thing is, I'm not entirely sure I've grown up with it well. I still appreciate some of the jokes in it, but it's become so self-aware that it's been going so long, telling the same kind of jokes over and over again, that it even makes jokes about the fact that it's aware that it's been going so long, telling the same kind of jokes over and over again. And being aware of your failings doesn't remove them. It doesn't suddenly make those jokes funny again. It's just another thing that you do. Wait, well done you. And when I was reading this one, I really got a sense. I mean, not only do they literally do that thing that I've just said, but I got a sense that they were grasping for new ground. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I certainly applaud the effort, but I still didn't particularly find myself getting excited like I used to when I was reading these. It's not that it's a bad comic overall. When talking about what comic books do, not just the writing, but the artwork counts. And Sergio Aragonés is an absolutely brilliant artist doing what he does. This is the kind of stuff he does. It's weird, hyper-detailed, comic-y kind of stuff where every glance lets you discover something new. More famous for doing stuff with Mad Magazine, and he has worked with them for decades as far as I'm aware. And I still really enjoy reading his stuff. Viewpoint-wise, it's absolutely amazing. And Marco Vanier is a funny enough writer. But the joke throughout this is still that Groo the Wanderer goes to a new town and everyone's terrified of him because he's going to kill everyone and destroy the town. So they try and find some way to send him off. And he's an idiot who doesn't realize that's what they're doing, but his dog's clever and the dog does and just goes along with it because he really likes Groo. That's pretty much the entire joke of the Groo side of things. There is nothing else other than that happens in it. It's also a little bit set in the real world, which is what you've just seen there. And that's basically just riffing off the idea that, yes, these people are comic book creators and they're aware of the world in which they're creating comic books and they're aware of the failings of their own comics. There's also the fact that Marco Vanier and Sergio Aragonés have been working together for years and they've got a kind of weird relationship. But again, that's not new ground for this comic book. The new ground is when they introduce this new character, well, not new character, but a character for the first time, Tarzan. And guess what, people? I'm about to go all political again because I've not read a Tarzan book, simply because it's never been on my radar even when I was a younger man. And as I've grown up, you just kind of can't help but look at the white savior imperialist narrative and the exceptionally racist viewpoint of African tribes. No other way around it. You could get away with it back then because it was just a boys and adventure and people didn't think anything else of it. But if you did it now, it'd be ridiculous. And here's where I start giving some credits. They do a really good job of telling a Tarzan story which doesn't use those tropes. They literally have an African police force that Tarzan goes and does consulting work from, making him an almost Sherlock Holmesian kind of character. And the reason they send him is not because they need a white savior. It's literally they have jurisdiction and what's happening is beyond that. A little bit convoluted, maybe, but at least it shows some effort. It is not just saying, we're going to have this white guy turn up and solve black people's problems for them. It's going to be like, these black people really want to solve a problem. They'd get in trouble if they did so. But they have a consultant who they know is proven. So why not get him to go and do it? And to be honest, he does it for free. So let's take advantage of him. Brilliant idea. Love that to pieces. Then there's the actual Tarzan artwork and story writing. It's still written by Marco Vanier, but a different artist. And the artist is pretty good. It's kind of classic, really bold lines and shadows that I'd expect from kind of sword and sorcery, or sandals and sorcery kind of adventure kind of stuff. And it's good enough. It's basically going and solving a slavery problem, which again is a cool thing, because it's not like allowing the only white guy there to be complicit in it. And it kind of ends with the two narratives about to meet. Now, the thing is, I've said on previous reviews that I don't like it when all the comic book does in issue 1 is what it says on the back of it. But in this one, I really did want them to meet in the first one. Like, that's why I was reading it. The build-up on the Tarzan side was interesting. On the Groo side was pedestrian. And the interstitial material between the two creators in the real world was treading over old ground. I feel like if you're going to do an issue 1 where you intended to do something new and exciting, do that new and exciting thing. As it is, it has not made me want to sit through another issue just to finally get that moment. So a bit of a thumbs down from me. For all it does well, it doesn't do it well enough. That's it for the week for me. I'll be back on Tuesday. And next week, there is an absolute buttload of new comic books, so expect me to do like 1 or 2 reviews a day again. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.